Hi all, welcome to BIAS Academy, Science and Technology audio notes for prelims and mains, Unit 3, Part 1, Chapter 3. The unit which we're going to cover are Indian space programs, past, present and future, ISRO satellites, uses of satellites in health, education, communication and weather forecasting. Under this, the topics which we're going to cover are GSAT 6 or INSAT 4E. Next is GSAT 14, launch and applications. Next is GSAT 15, its launch and applications. After that, GSAT 18, launch and applications. Next we will see what is bandwidth and the types of bandwidths used by ISRO. And finally we'll discuss about South Asia satellites, its objective and applications of South Asia satellite. Okay, let's start with GSAT 6. It is also called INSAT 4E. It's an advanced communication satellite launched by ISRO in 2015 from where Satish Dhawan Space Center by using GSLV D3. Okay, ISRO used an indigenously developed cryogenic engine in the third stage of GSLV D6. With this, India successfully used the indigenous cryogenic engine for the third time. Okay, GSAT 6 is the 25th geostationary communication satellite. GSAT 6 is the 25th geostationary communication satellite built by ISRO. This is the 12th satellite in the GSAT series. So in the GSAT series, it's the 12th satellite. In the geostationary series, it's the 25th satellite. Right. It weighs around 2117 kgs. You can remember the rough average number. You can in your exams you can write 2000 kgs approximately. For the first time, ISRO launched a 6-meter diameter S-band antenna in GSAT 6 satellite. So it launched an S-band antenna for the first time, 6 meter, which is 6-meter diameter. Imagine the diameter. It is 6-meter diameter antenna. Okay, this antenna uses 5 spot beams on the Indian mainland, which increases the frequency utilization efficiency. Okay, what does this antenna, the 6-meter diameter antenna do? It increases the frequency utilization efficiency. So how does it collect information from? It collects information from 5 spots or 5 spot beams from India's mainland. The satellite has a S-band payload as well, which uses 6-meter antenna. There is a C-band payload that uses 0.8-meter antenna. The lifespan of this is 6 years or 9 years. Okay, what are the applications of GSAT 6 or INSAT 4E, which is an advanced communication satellite launched by ISRO in 2015? Which uses a 6-meter diameter S-band antenna plus which has a C-band payload. What are the applications of this? It has many strategic uses. It's used by defense forces to obtain information more effectively. The satellite helps in military communications and is considered as the second military communication satellite launched by ISRO. Before this, ISRO launched GSAT 7 for Indian Navy. Okay, the defense forces should provide services in different geographical conditions like desert, Himalayan terrain and other rough terrains as well. The GSAT 6 provides safe communications to Indian soldiers working in such unfavorable conditions. Like our soldiers work in Ladakh, Aksai Chin, all these areas. The launch of GSAT 6 helped in reliable military communications, and Indian soldiers may not carry heavy communication equipment along with them. So they can go only they can take what is required. There is no burden of carrying heavy communication equipment with them. Why? Because it helps soldiers to carry handheld communication equipment. So they can carry a handheld like the one which you have, we carry our mobiles like that. They can have a small communication devices with them, satellite devices. right. We have seen GSAT-6. It was launched in 2015, but the rocket used was GSLV D6. It's a cryogenic engine which is used for the third time, developed by India. It is a GSAT-6 or INSAT-4E is a 25th geostationary communication satellite or 12th satellite in the GSAT series. It weighs around 217 kgs. It has an antenna which is 6 meter diameter, that is an S-band antenna, and the antenna uses 5-spot beams on the Indian mainland, which increases the utilization efficiency. It also has an S-band payload which uses 6 meter antenna plus a C-band payload that uses 0.8 meters antenna. So what are the uses of it? Mostly it is a communication satellite, helpful for defense forces to procure information and use it more effectively. For Indian Navy has a other satellite known as GSAT-7. So how does GSAT-6 help? There is no need for our soldiers to carry heavy communication equipment. They can carry handheld communication equipment. This satellite helps in military communications and provides services in different geographical conditions like desert or Himalayan terrain or any remote place. Okay, now let's see what is GSAT-14, its launch and applications. ISRO launched GSAT-14 from Satish Dhawan Space Center in January 5th, 2014. Okay. GSAT-14 was onboarded by GSLV D5 rocket. ISRO successfully tested the indigenously developed cryogenic engine for the first time. Okay. Where did it test it? The cryogenic engine in the launch of GSAT-14 by using geosynchronous launch vehicle D5 rocket. The cryogenic engine was tested. The cryogenic engine is a very crucial engine in the third stage of GSLV. Remember, in the third stage of launch, the cryogenic engine is very crucial. The first testing of indigenous cryogenic engine carried out by ISRO on 2010 was failed. Okay. Let's come back to GSAT-14. It weighs around 982 kilos. The lifespan of the satellite is 12 years. It carried CKU band transponders, 6 C-band transponders. The satellite also had carried 2 Ka band beacons. And the applications of this GSAT-14 are: it helped in expanding the broadcasting services. It is also useful in study the impact of climate change, and many new technologies like fiber optic gyro, active pixel sun sensor, circular bolometer, thermal control coating were tested in GSAT-14. It was launched in 2014. For the first time, cryogenic engine was tested. For its launch, the rocket used was GSLV D5. It weighs around 1982 kilos. The satellite has a lifespan of 12 years. It had 6 Ku band transponders, 6 C-band transponders, and 2 Ka band beacons. And it is used in broadcasting services to study the impact of climate change. Especially it focused on to study the impact of climate change on Ka band satellite communications. Plus, it also was useful in many new technologies like fiber optic gyro, active pixel sun sensor, circular bolometer, thermal control coating were tested in GSAT-14. Okay, now let's look at GSAT-15. ISRO launched this advanced communication satellite in 2015. So on September 11th. When was GSAT-6 launched? It was launched in 2015, but on August 27th, whereas GSAT-15 was launched in September 11, 2015 by using Ariane rocket from where? Right, French Guiana, Kourou Island, French Guiana. The lift of mass GSAT-15 was 3164 kg. The weight of the satellite was 3,164 kg. GSLV Mark III and GSLV Mark II rockets cannot carry payloads of the weight. Hence, ISRO had to depend on foreign rockets like Ariane. You understood why they launched from French Guiana or the Kourou Island? Right. GSAT 15 was launched into geostationary orbit and it has a lifespan of 12 years. The satellite strengthens the Indian communication sector. It has 24 Ku band transponders, right? And let's look at the applications of GSAT 15. It helps in strengthening and expansion of Indian communication sector. Direct to home television, that is DTH television services, can further be expanded throughout the country with the help of GSAT 15. The very small aperture terminal services meant for safe transmission of variety of information like text, audio, video in a smaller communication system can further be expanded with the help of GSAT 15. These very small aperture terminal services are very crucial for banking, finance and military areas. Okay. GSAT satellite also carried a Gagan payload which helps in satellite based augmentation for civil aviation. So it's helpful for civil aviation as well. The Gagan payload were already launched in GSAT 8 and GSAT 10 satellites. Again, it was again launched in GSAT 15 as well. GSAT 15 satellite also has a Ku band beacon which helps the ground antennas to accurately determine their position towards the satellite. Okay, let's recap GSAT 15. It was launched in September 11, 2015. Not from India, it was launched by using Ariane rocket from Kourou Island, Kourou Island, French Guiana. Why they had to go to French Guiana? Because our GSLV Mark I and Mark II rockets cannot carry a payload which is of more weight. What is the weight of our satellite? It is 3,164 kgs. So hence they had to depend on a foreign rocket like Ariane. It was placed or launched into geostationary orbit. Okay, its lifespan is 12 years. Okay, how does it help the Indian communication sector? It strengthens the communication sector. Okay, applications of it. The DTH services can be further expanded. The very small aperture terminal services meant for safe transmission of variety of information like text, video, audio in smaller communication system can further be expanded with the help of GSAT 15. It is also very crucial. These services are crucial in banking, finance and military. GSAT 15 satellite also carried a payload called Gagan which helps in satellite based augmentation for civil aviation. It also has a Ku band beacon which helps the ground satellites or the ground antennas to accurately determine their position towards the satellite. Okay, now let's look at GSAT 18. GSAT 18 satellite and its applications. It is also an advanced communication satellite. It is launched in October 6, 2016 from, yes, you're right, Kourou Island, French Guiana using Ariane rocket. The lift-off mass of GSAT 15 was 3,404 kgs. GSLV Mark I and Mark II rockets, can they carry the payloads of this weight? No, they cannot. Hence, ISRO has to depend on foreign rocket like Ariane. Correct. It is also launched into geostationary orbit and it has a life of 15 years. What is the life of GSAT 15? 12 years. The lifespan of GSAT 18 is 15 years. 15 years. It was launched in 2016, October 6th. Okay. The satellite has 48 communication transponders. Out of the 48 communication transponders, 24 are C-band, 12 are extended C-band, and remaining 12 are Ku band transponders. So it has 48 transponders, out of which half of it, that is 24, are C-band transponders, and 12 are extended C-band transponders, and the remaining 12 are Ku-band transponders. And apart from this, the satellite additionally has 12 Ku-band beacons as well. Okay, the applications of GSAT-15. It helps in strengthening and further expansion of our telecommunication services. Okay, the direct or DTH, direct to home television services, very small aperture terminal services meant for safe transmission of variety of information like text, audio, video in smaller communication systems can further be expanded using GSAT. It is a communication satellite which helps in strengthening the total or the entire communication systems of our country. Okay, so it was launched in 2016 by using Ariane rocket from Kourou Island, French Guiana. The weight of it is 3,404 kgs. The lifespan of the satellite GSAT-18 is 15 years. It has 48 communication transponders, of which 24 are C-band transponders, 12 are extended C-band transponders, and the remaining 12 are Ku-band transponders. And additionally, they have 12 Ku-band beacons. It strengthens the Indian telecommunication sector. It provides us the direct-to-home services, television services, plus very small aperture terminal services as well, which are helpful in banking, military, and other services. Okay, now let's look at what is bandwidth or what is transponder, and we'll discuss the different types of bandwidths or transponders used by ISRO in providing communications. So till now when we are discussing about satellites GSAT 18 or 15, 14, 6, we are talking about Cu-band transponder or Ku-band transponder. In satellite communication, bandwidth is a combination of uplink frequency and downlink frequency, in which communication in the form of text, voice, or video is carried out. You understood, right? For example, let's see. You have a separate channel. In that, you have to upload your videos. To upload that content, or TikTok, I don't want to talk about TikTok, or other apps where you have to upload your content, it requires certain frequency, and then that information is stored somewhere else. In this case, it's stored in servers, and then the consumer or your follower will watch that video. For him to watch that, he needs a certain download frequency. In the same way, in satellite communication, there is a use of uplink frequency and downlink frequency. This frequency is called bandwidth. What do you upload or what you download in the uplink and downlink frequency? Text, voice, video, etc. Right? Yeah. So bandwidth is a combination of uplink and downlink frequencies in which a broadcast is conducted through satellite. You understood, right? Yeah. A satellite receives television or any communication broadcast from the ground station. This term or termed as uplinking because signals are sent up from the ground to the satellite. These signals are then broadcasted down over the footprint area of the satellite in a process called downlinking. This downlinking can be given throughout the world. To ensure that uplink and downlink frequencies do not interfere with each other, different frequencies are used in bandwidth. Okay, the bandwidth for civilian purposes and applications for various countries is allocated by International Telecommunication Union, which is at Geneva, Switzerland. Okay, the bandwidth for civilian purposes and applications for various countries is allocated by whom? It might be useful for your prelims. ITU, International Telecommunication Union. International Telecommunication Union. International Telecommunication Union provides the bandwidth for civilian purposes. Where is it? It is Geneva, Switzerland. Okay, International Telecommunication Union is at Geneva, Switzerland, provides bandwidth for civilian purposes for various countries. Right. Okay. In India, who does it? Ministry of Telecommunications will be allocating bandwidth to both public and private companies. So in India, Ministry of Telecommunications will be allocating the bandwidth for both public and private companies. Okay. So what are these transponders then? The electronic instruments on board the communication satellites which receive the uplink frequency from the ground. Okay, slightly modulated and later transmitted to the ground are called transponders. So these transponders are electronic instruments which are on board, which are on communication satellites. These electronic instruments receive the uplink frequency from the ground and slightly modulated and later transmitted to the ground. So these are called transponders. Right. So hence transponder is a combination of receiver, modulator, transmitter. So what is it? Its transponder is a combination of receiver, modulator and transmitter which transmits the information. Okay. Now let's see the different types of bandwidth and transponders used by Indian satellites. So Indian satellites use S-band, lower extended C-band, upper extended C-band, Ku band, Ka band. It is nothing complex, it's very easy. Every bandwidth has an uplink frequency and a downlink frequency, right? So S-band has an uplink frequency of 5.8 to 5.9 gigahertz. Okay, and a downlink frequency of 2.5 to 2.6 gigahertz. There is no need to remember, but just listen, understand there are different frequencies for each band. So what is the uplink frequency used by lower extended C band? It is 5.7 to 5.9 gigahertz. Downlink frequency is 3.4 to 3.7. C band uplink frequency is 5.9 to 6.4 gigahertz and downlink frequency is 3.7 to 4.2 gigahertz. Upper extended C band uplink frequency is 6.4 to 7, roughly 7.1 or something uplink frequency, and downlink frequency is 4.5 to 4.8 gigahertz. Ku band uplink frequency is 12.7 to 14.2 gigahertz and downlink frequency is 10.7 to 13.2 gigahertz. Ka band needs more frequency, that is 27 to 31 gigahertz uplink frequency, and downlink frequency 18.3 to 22.2 gigahertz. Okay, so there are S band frequencies, lower extended C band, upper extended C band, Ku band and Ka band frequencies, or the bandwidths used by our Indian satellites. The S band transponders are used for broadcasting Doordarshan program. Yeah, the S band transponder, which has an uplink frequency of 5.8 to 5.9 gigahertz and a downlink frequency of 2.5 to 2.6 gigahertz, is used for broadcasting Doordarshan programs. Right. The C band transponders. What is a transponder? It is a combination of a receiver, modulator and a transmitter. Transponders are electronic instruments which are on satellites, which are on communication satellites. They receive the uplink frequency from the ground, slightly modulated, and it later transmitted. So it is a combination of three instruments. One is receiver, modulator and transmitter. Okay. The C-band transponders are used in providing telemobile communications, television, DTH broadcasting. So does it need more uplink frequency or less uplink frequency than S-band? It needs more, right? Because it is used in providing telemobile communications, television services and DTH broadcasting. What is DTH? Direct to home. Then we have Ku band and Ka band transponders. They operate at higher frequencies and are used for video conferencing. Like your Zoom app these days, people are using. It uses Ku and Ka band transponders, that is, they need higher frequencies, and is also used in video conferencing, tele-education, telemedicine services. So you might have seen telemedicine apps like Call Health or Call Doctor these days. Those services use higher frequencies. Those are Ku band and Ka band. Right. And then we will see South Asia satellite, its objectives and applications. South Asia satellite is a gift to the countries in the South Asian region. The idea emerged such a satellite should be there for SAARC countries. It was emerged during the 2014 SAARC summit held at Kathmandu in Nepal. The Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi ji, announced the satellite first as a SAARC satellite. Okay, what is this? It's a South Asia satellite for SAARC countries. It was announced by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji that it is the first SAARC satellite. Initially, Pakistan responded very positively to the idea of such satellite. Later, it opted out of the mission, which led India to rename it as South Asia satellite. So, it is not a SAARC satellite now, it is a South Asia satellite. Why? Because the Pakistan has opted out of this mission. The South Asian countries like Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, Maldives are immensely being benefited from the satellite. This was launched from the South Asian satellite was launched from Satish Dhawan Space Center using GSLV F9 on May 5, 2017. The satellite weighs around 2,230 kilograms and has a mission life of 12 years. The cost of the project was estimated around 235 crores. In technical terms, this satellite is called as GSAT-9. The primary objective of the South Asia satellite is to provide increased connectivity among and within the South Asian countries. Okay, is to provide increased connectivity among the South Asian countries. The satellite particularly aims to reach the highly inaccessible remote areas within the South Asian countries and extend applications in the field of communications, video conferencing, disaster management. Let's look at the applications of South Asia satellite, which was launched first time the idea was contemplated in the year 2014, but the satellite was earlier named as SAARC satellite. Pakistan has opted out of it and it was renamed as South Asia satellite, and this satellite was launched from Satish Dhawan Space Center in the year 2017 using GSLV F9, and the cost of it is 235 crores. Okay, and what are the applications of it? It will be able to expand the communication and broadcasting services throughout the South Asian countries. The broadcasting includes satellite-based television and direct-to-home services. It will also play a prominent role in expanding the video conferencing-based telemedicine and teleeducation services to the remotest areas of South Asian countries. It also helps in management of important disasters like cyclones, floods, tsunami, earthquakes, and even provide search and rescue services. Okay, let's recap the entire class today. We have started with GSAT 16. We have discussed GSAT 14, 15, 18, and we have discussed what is bandwidth and types of bandwidth used by ISRO. And finally, we have discussed South Asia satellite, earlier known as SAARC satellite. So what is GSAT 16? It is a communication satellite launched by ISRO in 2015 from Satish Dhawan Space Center. Right, it weighs around 2,117 kgs. It is the 25th geostationary satellite or the 12th satellite in GSAT series. It has a 6-meter diameter S-band antenna. Okay, the antenna uses 5 spot beams on the Indian mainland for efficient frequency utilization. Right, applications are, it is used for defense. No need for our soldiers to carry heavy communication equipments. They can carry handheld communication equipment and provide services in different geographical conditions like desert, rough terrains, or Himalayan terrain, or any remote areas. After that, we have seen GSAT 14. It was launched in the year 2014. Okay. Applications are it used helpful in expanding broadcasting services, useful in study the impact of climate change, especially on the Ka band satellite communication, and many new technologies were tested like fiber optic gyro, active pixel sun sensor, circular bolometer, thermal control coating, etc. And then we have seen GSAT 15 satellite. It is an advanced communication satellite launched in September 11, 2015 from Ariana, French Guiana, Koru Islands. The weight of the satellite is 3,164 kg. GSLV Mark 1 and Mark 2 cannot carry payloads of this weight, hence ISRO had to depend on foreign rockets. The span of the satellite is 12 years. Applications are it strengthens and further expansion of Indian communication sector. There is the very small aperture terminal services meant for safe transmission for variety of information like text, audio and video are very crucial in banking, finance and military areas. GSAT 15 satellite has a payload called Gagan payload which helps in satellite based augmentation for civil aviation. And then we have seen GSAT 18. It is also advanced communication satellite launched in 2016. The weight is 3,404 kg, hence it's launched from Koru Islands, French Guiana using Ariane rocket. It is a geostationary GSAT 18 is a geostationary orbit satellite and lifespan is 15 years. It has 48 communication transponders. Out of 48 transponders, 24 are C-band, 12 are C-band extended transponders and the remaining are 12 Ku band transponders. The satellite additionally has Ku band beacons as well. Applications are it's used in telecommunications, DTH, banking, military services, all other communications as well. And then we have seen what is the bandwidth and the types of bandwidth used by ISRO. We have seen what are transponders. What is the bandwidth? It's a combination of uplink and a downlink frequency in which a broadcast is conducted. Okay. Then we have seen transponders. Okay, the bandwidth for civilian purposes and applications for various countries is allotted by International Telecommunications Union, which is in Geneva, Switzerland. In India, who does that? Who allots the bandwidth to both public and private companies? Ministry of Telecommunications. Okay, transponder is an electronic instrument which is on communication satellite. It receives the uplink frequency from the ground and slightly modulates it and later transmits it to the ground. These are called transponders. Hence, transponders is a combination of receiver, modulator and transmitter. So in India, we use different bandwidths and transponders. One is S-band, lower extended C-band, C-band, upper extended C-band, Ku band, Ka band. The S-band transmitters are used for broadcasting Doordarshan programs. C-band transponders are used for providing telecom mobile communications, television services, DTH services. Ku and Ka band transponders operate at a higher frequency, are used for video conferencing, teleeducation, telemedicine. Regarding Ku and Ka band, we have spoken about examples like Zoom app and telemedicine apps like Call Health, Doctor on Call, all these things. And finally, we have discussed South Asian satellite, its objectives and applications. South Asian satellite was the concept or the idea was first discussed in 2014 SAARC summit held at Kathmandu, which is in Nepal. It was initially announced as a SARC satellite, and later it was renamed as South Asia Satellite. Why? Because initially Pakistan was okay for it, but then later it opted out of the mission. So hence the satellite was renamed as South Asia Satellite. South Asian countries like Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, Maldives are immensely being benefited from this satellite. So when was this launched? It was launched in the year 2017 on May 5th from Satish Dhawan Space Center using GSLV F9. The cost of it, or the estimated cost of the project, is 235 crores. Okay, the satellite is otherwise also called as GSAT 9. In your exam they might ask, write about the applications or the importance of GSAT 9 or South Asia Satellite. Okay, the primary objective of the satellite is to provide increased connectivity among the South Asian countries. It particularly aims to reach highly inaccessible and remote areas within South Asian countries and provide applications in the field of communications, video conferencing, disaster management. This also plays an important role in video conferencing based telemedicine and teleeducation services, and helps in management of disasters like cyclones, floods, tsunami, earthquakes, and also even provides search and rescue services. Okay, with this we'll end our lecture today. If you have any doubts and queries or need any further information, you can mail us to biasacademy@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.